Unitarian Universalists hold our 7 principles as strong values and moral teachings. As Reverend Barbara Wells 10 Hove explains, the principles are not dogma or doctrine, but rather a guide for those of us who choose to join and participate in the Unitarian Universalist religious communities. And as a personal note, a few years ago when I read these before I ever knew anything about UUs or UUs, I remember going online and reading the 7 principles and thinking, there's no way anybody, any group of people lives up to them. But then I remember thinking, I would really like to hang around with people who try. And we are those people. And I'll read them. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Acceptance of one another. And encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience, and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Respect for the independent web of all existence of which we are a part.
Can you all hear me in the back? Today, my talk is about Unitarian Universalism in one word. That is, if we are forced to choose only one word to characterize our Unitarian Universalism, what would it be? I hope all of you have had a chance to think about your own one word, and that, like me, you had some fun along with some serious soul-searching in the process. Even though most of us here are Unitarian Universalists, let me start by describing our faith a little bit. We are significantly familiar with the 7 principles, but just read again, and that we adhere to, or try to adhere to. But let's take a look at the underlying history and richness. Some of the material that I'm talking about in this first section has been borrowed and adapted from William Schultz's chapter titled Our Faith in the Unitarian Universalist Pocket Guide. All religions attempt to answer life's most perplexing and humanity's most enduring questions. Who am I? What is my purpose? What happens after I die? Is there a God? And most religions, at least the creedal types, believe they have the answers. Unitarian Universalism is different. We respect the answers offered by all the traditions, but we believe that no single religion has a monopoly on wisdom. We believe that the answers to the perplexing and enduring questions change from generation to generation, even individual to individual. And that the ultimate truth about God, creation, death, meaning of life, and human spirit cannot be captured in any narrow statement. We also respect the roles of reason and mystery, in addition to that of the faith. So we believe, unlike many religious traditions, that the universe, the beings, and things in it are just too glorious, too complex, and too mysterious to be captured in any creed. That is why ours is a creedless religion. We invite people to explore their faith and spirituality in a responsible way. We don't provide answers to our enduring questions, so much so as to provide a directional guidance, a process, and caring support. Our history is also an important guide to us. Both our Unitarian and Universalist traditions rejected the notion that higher authorities, be they imams, rabbis, priests, ministers, or prophets, could impose their views on the laity. This is the historical source of our commitment to freedom of belief and to congregational polity and lay empowerment. And we have such a rich legacy of affirmations, from Universalism's faith in the benevolence of God and that salvation is available to all, to Unitarians' assertion that human beings have within them the capacity to shape the future. And so far, it's all I've talked about is the spiritual side. As all religions do, ours also addresses the ethical side. Ours is more of a call for right relationships and for action in our community. Our historical legacies point us to leaving our community a little bit better than we found it. We control our own actions and our own destiny. And we are all focused on the here and now rather than on the hereafter. We also value the process, the means employed. As our 7 principles enunciate, whatever we do and however we do it, we must respect the dignity and worth of all human beings and respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. What counts is the quality of our relationships and interactions, in addition to the good that we do for others. Well, that's a rather long elevator speech on Unitarian Universalism. I'll have to do a lot better if I'm going to get down to one word. But look at the task I face. In our religion, we have a very rich history of thoughts, relationships, and actions. And it is my quest to condense all that into one word. Well, summarizing the quest of mine was easy. Foolish came to my mind many a time. Naive was another. However, I was driven. So as a second step, I focused on the kind of word I would be looking for. I wanted it to be active rather than passive. That is, a verb rather than a noun. I wanted to have internal as well as external connotation so it could speak to the spiritual as well as to the ethical side. Further, I wanted a word that could serve as a goal as well as a process, for ends as well as means. I also wanted it to refer to our UU heritage, to include our mind as well as our heart. And finally, I did not want it to be very precise. I wanted us to be able to play with it while allowing it to generally channel our thoughts and actions. Quite a lot of conditions, if I may say so myself. But I plugged along and started concentrating on one word only. The word reason came to mind rather quickly. Compared to other spiritual paths, reason in our liberal UU tradition is certainly a strongly defining and distinguishing characteristic. Early Unitarians reasoned that God in 3 aspects was illogical and unbiblical. Universalists promoted compassion in that heaven was available to all. Now, we UUs hold reason in balance with the spiritual and the mysterious. And so but it didn't have enough of a spirit in me, so I just couldn't nominate reason as the standalone word. This led me to examine balance, which comes in whenever there is a conflict or when there are opposites, which is everywhere. Be it between body and soul, order and chaos, profits and public good. We need to balance even as we try to follow our 7 principles. We need to balance the self with the community, freedom with responsibility, listening with talking, good relationships with personal integrity, among others. But somehow the word, like reason, balance didn't move me spiritually. So I shifted my search towards a more spiritual angle and examined compassion. Many words in the English language convey the depth of human connection, but compassion is probably the only one that implies kindness without condition. It describes the understanding of our relationships, especially with those not so fortunate. It is a caring, a sense of oneness with the rest of the humanity. But I was looking for a verb, and so I took a reluctant pass on compassion, as it needs to be acted on to be effective. Next, I seriously considered grace for a long time. Grace, for a long part of its history, has stood for divine activity in human lives. Now it is regarded as a gift of loving and purposeful generosity that we show to others, which is still divine in my reckoning. Grace propels us to act with respect, tenderness, and love. It is the manifestation of a transcendental force that can be expressed by us in the mundane as well as the extraordinary. Wouldn't the world be a wonderful place if we all acted with grace? Love is another powerful word. Love is a decision we make in our lives that says others are as important as we are, and that we will make a commitment to their happiness, development, and security as we do for ourselves. It is the basis of our most precious relationships, be it with our spouse, partner, children, parents, friends, and even our community and humankind. Love is mysterious and compels us to be more than we knew we could be. It opens doors and enriches all of us. As I was seriously considering among compassion, grace, and love, the ones that had a spiritual flavor to them, I came to the realization that all 3 of them had to do with relationships and connection. It always boils down to relationships and connections with people. It is amazing how many times I keep forgetting this, and then how many times I keep rediscovering it. So with that renewed insight one day, and strongly wanting to somehow include compassion, grace, and love, I was finally able to find the one word that I had been seeking. So without further ado, let's have the envelope. And my nominee for the one word is, a drum roll please, include. What? Include? Where did include come from? It certainly is unique as a one-word summary and invokes thoughts of embrace and acceptance, all positive connotations. It is also a verb, an action-oriented word. It suggests an ethical component to implementing respect and dignity and interdependence. It suggests a way to expand our interactions. However, let's go a little deeper. In the beginning, I mentioned that Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal religion. In a religious context, the other side of creedal is covenantal. We are a covenantal religion. Creeds have very often been used to define who is in and who is out. We are not that way. In human society, long before there were creeds, there were covenants. We, you use, define ourselves through covenants, voluntary mutual agreements and relationships, and not through a creed. The summary word include is in line with our covenantal tradition, as it is not an edict, but a call to voluntarily expand our circle, to expand the web. It is a call to minister to others, to express our caring. And when we really care, we find that compassion, grace, and love interdependently enter in. Having nominated include as my one-word summary and how I came about it and why I think it fits, I want to spend the next few minutes elaborating on what I really mean by it. Let me give you an example first. I'm sure that if I asked all of you if you know your neighbors, I will get an overwhelming yes. However, the knowing our neighbor covers a vast range from we say hello to them as we see them across the front yard, to we talk to them at our annual summer block party, to we keep an eye on their house when they go on vacation, to our children play together and eat at each other's houses, and finally, even to, oh, they are family. The word know covers all these situations. The word include is similar. It too covers a vast range because it is both a goal and a process. The first stage of include may well be tolerance. It is live and let live. Tolerance certainly enables passive and even peaceful coexistence. Peace in this case exists mainly through benign neglect. It is a significant step forward from hostility and animosity. The second stage of include gets us into some outreach, some changes and interactions, many of which may be largely symbolic. For example, we may reach out to include only those who are slightly different than us, but who don't make waves. The focus in this stage is still upon us, our perspective, our ways, rather than on them. But it is another step in the right direction. In the third stage of include, we start to open up. We become sensitive to differences and the advantages and privileges bestowed to some. We seek knowledge and understanding of this background of others. What gifts do they bring? What is their history? What are their stories? What are their aspirations? In this stage, compassion, grace, and love start playing a serious role as we try to listen to what others are saying. We are willing to be discomforted and to change ourselves. In the fourth stage of include, we have two-way conversations and engage in conflict resolution and shared problem solving. We create a safe environment for ongoing dialogue and exploration. We confront our prejudices and replace them with understanding and insights. In this stage, we get to the point where we are open to aha moments. For example, when we realize that homosexuality is not the problem, but homophobia is. In the fifth and final stage, we affirm and celebrate the lives of all. We are in an active, positive engagement. Diana Eck has called this stage pluralism in her book, Encountering God, a spiritual journey from Bozeman to Banaras. Here, deep down, we appreciate differences and understand that they are an asset. The interdependent web of all existence takes on a deeper meaning. We are expressive of the concerns of all and speak out when the rights of others are at stake. We partake of the different gifts brought to us by different people. We have attained a sense of community, love, and mutual caring through mutual affirmation and practice of the worth and dignity of all. As an aside, if one feels that there are some that one just cannot include, then regrettably, so be it. As humans, we cannot guarantee ourselves or others to get it right all the time or with everyone. So sometimes we may have to let go. Times when such relationships diminish us rather than enhance us. After all, covenantal relationships have to be voluntarily and mutually undertaken for love, dignity, and respect to flourish. But let's try and keep such to the bare minimum. Let's be as generous as we can be in our include. Of course, our vision would be to make include a social paradigm, to turn it from an individual quest to making it a core value of life in our community. Wouldn't it be something if we all felt compelled to work to promote justice, fraternity, and equality in the larger society? Our journeys have always included include. Our challenge is to kick it up another notch or two. Getting to the fifth stage may seem daunting, but they really should be inspiring. Just look at Martin Luther King Jr. As we mentioned earlier, he worked to make us all more inclusive, to be inclusive of all color, all races, all backgrounds. He acted on include. We too can take extra steps to include, and include with compassion, grace, and love. And we can strive to extend our zone to our communities and the nation and even all humanity. May we express our courage to include, to respect the dignity and worth of all. As we expand our circle of inclusion, may we externally show what we truly are internally, good and wholesome human beings. May it be so, and amen.